Ada, would you please take roll?
Yes, Mr. President, Mrs. Reyes, Mr. Nielsen,
Here.
Mrs. Contreras,
Here.
Mrs. Sashanek.
Here.
Thank you.
Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd like to observe a moment of silence here. If you'd all silence your phones, appreciate that. Thank you. Are there any of the board members of the board that like to make statements this evening? If not,
Ms. Contreras and I represented the district at the school board's delegate assembly this past Saturday, and I think it was very interesting in the discussions that were had. We had a lot of discussion about different funding laws, and then towards the end, it kind of evolved into the word has lost my mind right now. Oh, school safety, and recalling on the school, the Arizona Department of Education to investigate school violence and self-harm amongst students in Arizona.
thank you. Dr. Freeman, would you like to share with us your information?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Buenas tardes a todos and welcome everyone. I want to start out with a general reminder to citizens about our responsibility to vote in elections. Voting is a very important part of the democratic process because the leaders we elect represent us to support all of their constituents' interests. Voter registration deadline for the general election in November is October 11th, and now that's less than a month away. The deadline to request a ballot by mail is October 28th at 5 p.m., and the last day for registered voters to join the new active early voting list, or AEVL, which used to be the PEVL. It used to be permanent. That was revised through legislation. Or to request a ballot by mail is also October 28th. People can quickly check their voter registration status or register to vote on my.arizona.vote website. I know with so many other things to do, it's easy to leave those kind of tasks for later, but sometimes later never arrives, and there are many really important questions on this fall's ballot that may have dramatic impacts on the future of Arizona and our children. Last week, 191 district superintendents, county superintendents, executive directors of statewide organizations delivered a letter to Governor Ducey asking him to call the legislature into special session to address the aggregate expenditure limit. Addressing the AEL, as it's called, will bring fiscal stability and allow districts to continue to spend money already allocated to them by the legislature in the last session's budget. Lifting the cap doesn't represent a tax increase, but it does allow for us to pay the salaries of teachers, administrators, and support staff wages through the end of the school year. We went through this period of uncertainty last year. The legislature waited almost till the end of February to vote that through. But what we would like to do is have the same collaborative, positive outcome this year so teachers, students, and families aren't subject to last-minute budget cuts or political gamesmanship. Each fall, we're also reminded how our world's drastically changed since September 11th, 21 years ago. Over 3,000 American lives were lost that day. Many more continue to pass due to illnesses they developed over the years from that fateful day. In the aftermath of September 11th, the phrase "never forget" became a symbol that reminds all Americans of those we lost. Americans set aside their differences to pull together as one nation. our schools have pledged to never forget and honored 9/11 through a multitude of activities, patriotism, heroism, the symbolism of what it means to be an American were amongst the topics students learned and wrote about. At Estrella Vista, teachers and staff observed an extended moment of silence during announcements with a special message to remember those who protect us, our armed forces, police, fire, and medical staff. At Fine Arts, the 7th graders participated in a 911 virtual trip from Discovery Education. Students also learned about the positive impact of citizens engaging in acts of service. 3rd graders had a classroom where they created a memory quilt. The online academy teachers shared the history of 9/11 as students participated in discussions and learned about patriotism. At Tres Rios, students learning focused on the why of Patriot Day and the significance of the American flag, and students constructed the American flag why, learning about the details and their significance. 7th graders also learned the proper way to fold and unfold the flag. 7th and 8th graders constructed ribbons in remembrance of those who gave their lives serving to protect our nation. America seems much more divided today. Instead of a common external enemy, people have made enemies of one another. These are not new problems. Our history has showed us that we could pull together to achieve victory in World War II, to airlift West Berlin, and win the Cold War. But we were also a divided country before the Red Scare, the Civil Rights Movement. 60 years ago, when John F. Kennedy reaffirmed his support for the space program, he said, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. The work ahead of us to reunite our nation will be hard. The work of democracy has always been hard." And to Kennedy's point, it is in that aspiration that we are a better and freer people. Last week, all of our schools held curriculum nights with opportunities for families to actively engage in person or virtually, and the event was divided into different sessions so parents could receive information about programs we use to support student learning and student growth. Parents participated in sessions guided by classroom teachers, where teachers explained the curriculum that was used, as well as essential standards, learning targets, and the process to develop success criteria. Parents also had an opportunity to meet with specific grade levels, special area teams, such as exceptional students, or C administrators in open sessions to answer questions and exchange feedback on a variety of topics. People could see that the parents who were present appreciated another opportunity to meet with their teachers and learn about how to partner with their child's education. At Collier and Country Place, grade levels and teams made videos to share exciting learning and leadership happenings for the year. At Fine Arts, teachers explained the different intervention programs used in their classrooms and demonstrating to Falcon families what they can expect to hear from their learners when they go home and share about their day at school. Quinton STEM Academy, like the rest of the sites, combined curriculum night with their annual Title I meeting, where they shared with families their goals for the year and how title funds are used to support our students. At Tres Rios, parents provided input on the use of ESSER funds to support their signature program. September is also Attendance Awareness Week, and our schools have activities dedicated to reminding everybody the importance of being in school every day and on time, as missed learning opportunities aren't easily made up. We also partner with Maricopa County to address truancy and excessive absenteeism. At Collier Business Academy, Officer Greg Fuller from the Maricopa County Probation Office shared messages through videos that are played during morning announcements. And Officer Fuller also visited middle school rooms in the morning to reinforce his message that, and he will be featured in Collier's Attendance Awareness Night. All classrooms are participating in daily attendance competition, and winners will be announced in the September celebration event. Country Place is also celebrating perfect attendance in classrooms. Estrella Vista is celebrating Attendance Month with their first Attendance Award celebration. They'll recognize the class with the highest attendance for K4 and for 5-8. And there'll be a trophy display in their classroom. They'll also celebrate attendance winners each month throughout the whole year. Fine Arts is bringing back the Falcon Fest assemblies to honor kids at Hope, as well as students with good attendance. Good attendance will be encouraged and celebrated monthly with school-wide competitions, pizza parties, monthly incentives, and free dress down days for individual students. I'm assuming the individual students with good attendance. At Littleton STEM Academy, Firebirds are learning about the importance of attendance from Attendance Works. Information is being shared with families via Remind and in their weekly grade level newsletters. Quentin Sharks are celebrating coming to school every day by competing to earn traveling trophies. Sharks at all grade levels are doing their best to come to school when healthy. Competition with each grade level is fierce, with some classes winning by less than 3 days difference. Puma Nation recognized 3 deserving homerooms with the highest monthly attendance percentages, and their Attendance Matters competition was close as the winning homerooms won by less than 1%. The team at Tres Rios has established an annual attendance goal of 95% plus, and they're monitoring their progress on a monthly basis. Speaking about attendance, we're thankful that COVID transmission levels from our community are still in the low range. And there's a lot of contributing factors, and one of them is the mitigation efforts from everyone in our community. Observing proper hand washing, covering coughs, staying home if you have a fever, getting vaccinated and boosted, all support attendance and the healthier environment for our staff and our students. Our district hosted a vaccine clinic in August and one last week. We had the newest COVID booster available at the last clinic. We expect to be able to announce another one next month, and we're trying to work out the best options for everyone interested. I want to thank everybody on our committed district staff who were there to help make this possible for our community. Flu season is getting started, and it'll be getting stronger between fall break and winter break. It's expected to be pretty severe this fall, so please don't let your guard down. Remember that we have had masking and social distancing on and off for the past 2 years, so the level of flu and other contagious respiratory diseases was lower than average, but that's no longer true. And this has also led to another post-COVID problem. Full immunization rates against a slew of childhood diseases, including measles, mumps, chickenpox, polio, tetanus, whooping cough, all declined from 2019 to 2021. We encourage our families to review vaccination cards and, if they can, do their part to avoid illness and outbreaks from other diseases in addition to COVID and the flu. And there was one small measles outbreak in the county already. In just 3 weeks, we're wrapping up the first quarter of the school year, holding our first round of parent conferences. Students all across the country are still trying to catch up to grade level expectations, and we've got a lot of work to do in that area from the pandemic. We need everybody's cooperation and people pulling together to achieve this goal. We do it because it is that aspiration that we are a better and freer people. In so many ways, we're all a big family, and our success is tied to one another's success. When anyone lets down, we're all let down. When our staff, our students are ill, they can make others' families ill. Let's work together to move achievement forward and protect each other's health. Only together we'll grow learning and avoid preventable absences from school or work. Today we have a lot of learning options, so anyone who feels sick should stay home, take the necessary precautions not to spread infection. In closing, I'd like to express our appreciation to Brad Kramer and Kenneth Dossett with Grad's Photography for their check and donation to Fine Arts Academy, and to Sherry Reynolds with the Walmart Corporation for their donation of first aid kits and water coolers for all the sites. And Mr. President, that's all I have to report this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. We always appreciate your update and knowing what's going on and how we can work better to work closer to one another. We'll now have our program showcase. Ms. Vandewater, would you like to take care of that?
President Nielsen, members of the governing board, Dr. Freeman, I am excited to present to you our program showcase for this evening. Tonight, Dr. Durazo, principal of Estrella Vista STEM Academy, will showcase Estrella Vista's STEM engineering signature school focus, including the mission and vision, partnerships created, engineering, career exploration, and instructional connections through project-based learning. Dr. Durazo's engineering team will provide an opportunity for board and executive members to experience a hands-on STEM engineering program called Z-Space. Additionally, Estrella Vista STEM Academy will showcase their Kids at Hope Student of the Month, 7th grade student, Morel Bringas, and recognize a dedicated volunteer, Miss Miriam Villicana. We are pleased to welcome Principal Dr. Nicole Durazo.
Thank you. Oh, now I'm on. Our mission at EV is we are a professional learning community of invested educators and treasure hunters who educate the whole child so that students reach their full potential. Our vision statement demonstrates what we are aspiring to be and states Estrella Vista STEM Academy will be a leader in STEM education by engaging learners to ensure future success using an integrated approach of collaboration, communication, creation, and critical thinking, the 4 C's. I should have just said that. Our mission and vision statements were developed through a collaborative process with our staff members. Just like the slide states, we are Kids at Hope engineers at EV. We define STEM as the integration of 2 or more content areas and also infuse our Kids at Hope philosophy with our commitment to our signature school focus. We are excited about our community partnerships with Westmec, Phoenix Raceway, and our newest partner, ASU College of Engineering, who recently donated several hundreds of dollars worth of makerspace materials to EV. We hope to expand this partnership to including working with current engineering students during our STEM showcases, as well as Mr. Nielsen. He's already offered himself up. We were the recipients also of the NAU STEM Schools of the Future grant and utilized the training and professional development we received to continue to grow our programs. At EV, we integrate content to provide rich learning experiences for our students. For example, our special area teachers meet with each grade level team to infuse vocabulary and key concepts into their lessons. We also provide problem or project-based learning experiences for our students. We use the design thinking and engineering process to engage in problem solving, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, with plenty of creativity. Increasing our family engagement at EV is one of our IAP goals. We have planned engineering-focused Kids at Hope destination nights for our families and students. With an integrated approach, we will create a vision of hope for our future engineers. I am very honored to introduce our very passionate STEM teacher, Miss Rachel Vleek, who will tell you more about STEM at EV.
Hello, everybody. All right, so first, STEM is everywhere and STEM is in everything. So questions such as how and why spark creativity, thinking outside the box, and then drive our learning at EV. What I do at EV is I foster that creativity. I model and teach the process of problem solving, starting with a question and learning through experiments, trial and error, analyzing results, making changes, and then starting all over again. My class is a hands-on, get messy, make mistakes classroom that encourages mistakes just as much as the expected results. In life, we mess up and we get down on ourselves. Part of my class is learning that it's okay to fail, to push through that, and know that there's always a solution. We just have to find it. And our little hashtag is hashtag STEM it up. And I'm very excited to introduce you in a moment to our students.
With our ESSER funds, we were able to purchase Z-Space interactive technology for our students. But instead of telling you about this super cool learning experience, our Kids at Hope engineers are going to lead you through an exciting engineering learning experience. If you can please put your items aside so they can bring you your learning materials. This is a hands-on approach, as you know, with STEM, so you will be doing. We are keeping time, so we will be super quick with this. Just a little brief overview for you. Mm-hmm. So for our audience members and those of us streaming on YouTube, I can demonstrate here. So with the help of the stylus and the pens, this actually is a 3D experience, and students can maneuver objects. This is our virtual playground that kids can manipulate and test out objects to kind of get them through their obstacle course. I still need practice.
And one of the cool things about Z-Space, first of all, is it's really fun. I think we all know having fun while learning is the best way to learn. We can pull in a lot of science, a lot of math. I might make this 2D. Why is it glitching? You have about 30 seconds more to play, but then we will need to cut you off. You'll have to come back to EV to continue. All right, thank you, my Kids at Hope engineers. There is much to be excited about this year at EV and engineering. Thank you to my Hawks. You did an excellent job. Thank you for this opportunity to share all the amazing things our Hawks are doing. As we say, no better place to be than EV. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have or sign you up for your next Z-Space experience.
Thank
The
you.
only question I've got for him is, why didn't you have those 50 years ago when I actually needed them in school,
Right?
okay?
Why didn't we invent it? Super cool. You can actually, another one for our older students, it will bring a heart 3D that you can go inside and dissect.
Oh,
It's
wow.
amazing. So I wish I had that because I'm not a fan of like Quentin, the dissection. No, thank you. So it's exciting.
Thank
very
you all.
much.
We appreciate all of you bringing your laptops for and showing us tonight. We appreciate that.
Yes. We're very pleased to announce our Volunteer of the Year for Estrella Vista STEM Academy for Engineering, Miss Miriam Villacana. She has been a longtime supporter of EV. She's had 3 children, 2 have promoted from EV, and her youngest, Abby, is still with us, as well as several extended family members. She is very well known on our campus. She goes above and beyond to support not only our teachers, our students, our staff, our community. She always wants to go the extra mile to get anything and everything that we need to have a successful school year. She always wants to organize super fun events to engage our parents with our school. We just so appreciate her for everything that she does. She is a Hawk and part of our Hawk family. Congratulations, Miriam. Unfortunately, Miriam couldn't be with us tonight, so hopefully she is streaming and we will celebrate her when she returns to our campus.
Hi, I'm Mario Bringas. I'm the NJHS president and student council president. I'm a kid at Hope because I'm a leader, I'm kind, and I focus on my grades. As an NJHS president, we focus on volunteering and doing good things for my community. My ACEs are my friends, family, and my teachers here at EV.
And she is here with us, very nervous, but please come on up so we can celebrate you and take a picture. Oh, come on. Come on, brothers, you gotta get up here too. Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Durazo.
Thank you so much. We'll now have a call to the public. Ada, have we got anyone for a call to public? Tiffany Jones Bowling, would you like to come up to the microphone and just state your name and share with us what you have?
All right, good evening. My name is Tiffany Jones Bowling. I am a Collier parent as well as a substitute in the district. But I'm here today on behalf of the Pat Tillman VFW Post 40. The VFW is comprised of all veterans who have served the country in any foreign war. I personally am a 4-time war veteran, having deployed in support of both Operations Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan and Qatar. Our post has been in service since 1945, but obviously hasn't always been the Pat Tillman Memorial Post. I have been working as a trustee for going on 3 years now, and last year was my first year taking over the Teacher of the Year duties when I noticed that we were getting other chapters' leftover teachers' nominations instead of finding our own. I know that there are so many wonderful teachers right here in our own backyard, so I reached out to Miss Regan Headings, the principal at Collier, and asked her to send me some nominations. We had a wonderful response and were able to award 6 teachers from Collier with Teacher of the Year awards, coupled with cash prizes. This year, I'd like to branch it out to all of the schools in the district and see if we can get some more teachers nominated and awarded for Teacher of the Year. One last thing I'd like to share is that we also do an essay scholarship contest that we call Patriots Pin. It's available for all middle school students, and the VFW nationally sets aside over $1.4 million to award these middle school students from around the country. There are lots of awards ranging from a couple of $100 to $5,000 for each winner. The essay contest encourages young minds to examine America's history along with their own experience in modern American society by drafting a 300 to 400 word essay expressing their views based on a patriotic theme chosen by the VFW Commander-in-Chief. In my last 3 years working with the VFW, we have not submitted even one essay from any of the local schools. So I'd like to change that and give the opportunity to the Littleton Elementary School District students to get some of these cash prizes, as well as for the teachers to be awarded. It is something that we are mandated to do. The money is already set aside, and right now we're giving it to other teachers outside of our own backyard. So just wanted to change that. I do have some applications with me. If anybody would like to have one, just let me know. Thanks.
Thank you, Tiffany. We appreciate that. And I was going to ask, how do you find out a little bit more? How do we apply, or get the teachers to apply, the principals to do whatever? Is that all in that thing right there? Yes. Very good. We appreciate your thoughtfulness and desire to help us. Thank you.
I'm glad people waited around to hear her say.
Yes. At this particular time, we'll go ahead and dismiss any of you who want to go home to study, do your homework, eat your dinner, whatever might you want to do. We appreciate you being here tonight. What?
No.
Hey, wait, 1, 2, 3. No, you can't leave.
Unelected champion.
You're going to lose everybody. Would you like to pass out?
That's really nice.
That was great.
It's funny that you don't know about these things. Oh, so there's room in front, you guys.
I'm just glad we're not on a boat tonight. It's kind of this way right now, lopsided, but. All right, we'll go ahead and move along with the rest of our meeting. Consent agenda. Are there any members of the board that would like to pull any items from the consent agenda? If not, can I have a motion to accept it?
I move that the governing board approve the items submitted for consent.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed?
Oh, yes. Are there any opposed? Item number 10, Ms. Van de Water, we're back to you for the Integrated Action Plan.
President Nielsen, members of the governing board, Dr. Freeman. Before introducing our 3 principals to present their school's integrated action plans, I would like to provide you with an overview of the integrated action plan and school improvement process. On the first slide, you are viewing a linear view of the school improvement process. School plans were developed to address the unique needs of each school site. Each school site engaged in the following process to develop their school's integrated action plan. The first step in the process is what we call the comprehensive needs assessment. Through this process, school leadership teams and their key stakeholders collaborate to conduct a rigorous self-assessment of the 6 principles for school improvement. They are effective leadership, effective teachers and instruction, effective organization of time, effective curriculum, climate and culture, and family and community engagement. There are several indicators under each of the 6 principles to provide the school leadership team with a comprehensive analysis to then help them determine areas of focus for the coming school year. The second step in the process is the identification of a few key focus areas and a root cause analysis identifying the key factors for setting goals in these areas. After discussion among the leadership team and analysis of data, key indicators under these specific principles are selected as areas of focus, and a root cause analysis process is conducted to determine the foundational reasons that underlie these specific areas of concern. The third step in the process is the articulation of needs, goals, strategies, and action steps. Once a root cause has been determined, the leadership team develops a need statement and articulates the desired outcome in a goal statement. Next, they develop evidence-based strategies and action steps to accomplish their goals. Finally, the plan is communicated and vetted with the broader school staff, and implementation of action occurs with ongoing monitoring and evaluation of progress towards reaching each of the identified goals. Monitoring and evaluation of progress toward reaching the goals can be accomplished in a variety of ways, depending on the identified need, and could include both qualitative and quantitative measures. A few examples of monitoring and evaluation include classroom walkthroughs, student and staff surveys, student achievement data and analysis, collaboration in professional learning communities around the 4 critical questions, as well as ongoing progress monitoring. On the next slide, continuous improvement and the integrated action process is cyclical, beginning with the comprehensive needs assessment that I just described. The process of continuous improvement refers to the school's instructional improvement process that unfolds progressively, that does not have a fixed or predetermined endpoint, and that is sustained over periods of time. When hearing from each principal this evening, they will share 2 of their 6 action plan SMART goals, data used from the previous year to set these goals, strategies and action steps to meeting the goals, and measures to determine growth or challenges. Information gleaned from state and district assessments helps identify areas where we most need to accelerate learning opportunities for our Littleton students. The summative assessment AASA results, in combination with other data, present an opportunity to inform the type of supports students, educators, and our schools need to be successful. Tonight, we will begin with Dr. Fife, principal at Quinton STEM Academy. As she's coming up, I will share that the average percent meeting proficiency or considered passing in ELA is evidenced by the state assessment for 3rd through 8th grades was 27% and ranged from 25% to 31% in grade 7. Grade 7 increased 13 percentage points from FY21 to FY22. The average percent meeting proficiency or considered passing for math for 3rd through 8th grades was 26% and ranged from 16% to 37% in grade 3. Grade 5 increased 23 percentage points from 21 to 22. Dr. Fife will share 2 of the school's 6 SMART goals in the areas of ELA and math on the district's interim assessments, as well as the district's early literacy fast bridge assessment. Welcome, Dr. Fife.
Thank you. Good evening, President Nielsen, members of the board, Dr. Freeman, members of the executive team, and guests. My name is Dr. Fife, principal of Quinton STEM Academy for Health Sciences. This evening, I'd like to share Quinton's integrated action plan for the 2022-2023 school year. Tonight, I'll focus on 2 of our goals. The first goal I'd like to share is Quinton STEM Academy will achieve an average mastery score of 80% or greater on each English language arts and math teacher-created common summative assessment during the school year. During the previous year, we averaged 60% mastery on the English language arts district-created interim and 61% mastery on the math interim assessments. The goal of 80 was selected based on a review of mastery scores for each grade level in both content areas. Some grade levels were close or surpassed the 80% mastery, so the wording or greater was added. For other grade levels, 80% is an audaciously attainable goal. As a school, 80% is our second milestone on the way to 100% mastery. Last year, our goal was 60%. To accomplish this goal, teachers must have the knowledge and abilities to create rigorous learning goals as a plan for instruction and targeted intervention to meet the needs of all our students. These rigorous learning goals identify for students what they are to learn and help maintain their focus throughout the lesson. We are supporting our teachers to achieve this important goal by providing time within the schedule to collaborate with colleagues in professional learning communities and participate in intentional professional learning focused on increasing and/or refining their ability to create rigorous learning goals, plan for instruction, and interventions for our students. Additionally, teachers receive constructive, positive feedback from administration during informal observations and walkthroughs. Evidence of our success for this goal will include teachers having rigorous learning goals posted in their classroom. The goals will be referred to throughout the lesson, and students are able to articulate their learning and its importance. We will also see increases in levels of mastery on the summative assessments. Students will achieve or exceed our goal of 80%. I would now like to share our second goal. Quinton STEM Academy will achieve an average of 70% of students in kindergarten through 3rd grade obtaining a level of low risk or college pathway on the FastBridge reading assessment by May 2023. Last year, 34% of our students in kindergarten through 3rd grade obtained a level of low risk or college pathway. This is a stretch goal, and it will require all stakeholders to support in helping our students grow. During the school year, we will continue to provide students with targeted instruction and interventions to increase their reading ability. Success in this goal will ask teachers to ensure that we have high expectations for all our students by planning and delivering targeted intervention on phonemic awareness, phonics, and reading fluency and comprehension to support our students' literacy needs. This will send a message to all students that they are capable of success, and we will support them as they progress on their educational journey. To achieve these goals, teachers will engage in professional learning around how to properly interpret student reading scores from FastBridge, how to group students for small group instruction, and collaborate within their teams to plan and implement interventions. Teachers will also meet with administration and the reading interventionists regularly to review student performance, receive feedback, and support. Evidence of success in this goal will show students participating in literacy intervention throughout the school year and increased student achievement in literacy as measured through FastBridge assessments and progress monitoring. I'd like to thank you for your time, and at this moment, I will address any questions or comments the governing board may have.
Any questions? Amy, Sarah? I guess just one question I might have is on the FastBridge reading assessment at 70%. How quick of a return on that? I mean, can you look at somebody in 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks and see if they're making progress, or is this over a quarter or a semester? I know the goal's for a year, but how do you monitor along the way? I mean, you can't do it on a daily basis necessarily, but you got to have some way of getting that in and get the data back out.
Yeah. President Nielsen, thank you for that question. So yes, our students are progress monitored, and different students are on different cycles depending on the level of need they need. So some students may be progress monitored weekly, and so the teachers are meeting with that student one-on-one to go over those areas that they may struggle in, whether it be letter names and sounds or actually understanding what they're reading, so the comprehension piece. Students who don't need as much support, the teacher still meets with them, however, that's once. So we don't want to lose any of our students who have made progress. Right. And so as the year continues, teachers will have a really good indicator of if our students are growing or if they need additional supports.
Thank you very much, appreciate that.
I have a question about the first goal. So when you mentioned the common summative assessments, I know you have the professional learning communities. Each grade level, is it different tests for each class, or is it like the same test for each grade level and each class in that grade level are taking those same tests?
President Nielsen, Ms. Contreras, thank you for that question. So yes, it is by grade level. So our grade levels are all administering the same common summative assessment on that standard, and so they will assign a pre-test so we can see where our students are beginning, and then they'll provide instruction, interventions as needed, and then they'll do the post-test. And our goal is to have 80% of our students showing mastery or more.
Any others? Thank you. Appreciate the presentation here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fife. Now we will hear from Dr. Nicole Durazo, principal at Estrella Vista STEM Academy. The average percent meeting proficiency or considered passing in ELA for 3rd through 8th grades was 30% and ranged from 21% to 40% in grade 4. Grade 4 increased 17 percentage points from FY21 to FY22. The average percent meeting proficiency or considered passing in math for 3rd through 8th grades was 17% and ranged from 6 to 26% in grades 3, 4, and 5. Grade 4 increased 15 percentage points from FY22 to 21 to 22. Dr. Durazo will share 2 of the 6 SMART goals in the areas of math and ELA academic performance on the district's post-assessment, as well as their family engagement goal. Thank you, Dr. Durazo.
Good evening again, Acting President Nielsen, Governing Board members, Dr. Freeman, Executive Team, and Littleton community. Thank you for this opportunity to share Estrella Vista STEM Academy for Engineering's Integrated Action Plan. As Ms. Vandewater stated earlier, there are 6 principles. Our IAP is the foundation of a cycle of continuous improvement, and I am happy to share 2 of our goals tonight. Excuse me. During Goal 1, during the 2022-2023 school year, EV will reduce the amount of students scoring falls far below, excuse me, or FFB, on our district post-test by 50% in each grade level in both math and ELA as compared to the 2022 post-test assessments. For example, in 21-22 third grade ELA post-test, we had 39 students score falls far below. Our goal this year will be to have 19 or less, focus more on the less, students score falls far below on their post-test. Last year for 5th grade math, our post-test, we had 50 students score falls far below. Our goal this year will be 25 students or less, again, more focused on the less, scoring falls far below on our post-test. We know the last couple of years have been challenging both academically and socially for our students. At EV, we are committed to educating the whole child through our SEL character development curriculum, All Things EQ, and we use data to drive our daily instruction. Our students have shown growth on their pre-scores from last year to this year, and we are confident we will continue to grow with explicit, targeted instruction based on individual need. We have developed short-term goals and action steps to achieve this end-of-the-year goal. We have already begun professional development and data analysis to identify student strengths and gaps in learning. Each grade level team has created SMART goals, and we share progress quarterly. Teachers are also provided weekly time in professional learning around professional learning communities, or PLCs. Grade level and content teams meet twice a week to identify essential standards, create common formative assessments, review data, and determine next steps for remediation and enrichment. It is through this collaboration that we can provide targeted instruction to meet the needs of every learner. Through our PLC process, teachers use data to place students into small groups. Teachers use these small groups to differentiate instruction focused on remediation or enrichment based, again, on each student's individual need. I am very proud to share that we have begun a walk-to-intervention model for all 1st through 4th grade students. Our reading interventionist, Mrs. Katie Vallison, used all available data to determine intervention groups for a 30-minute block of time on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Our students love traveling to their new classroom for their targeted instruction. Since we have started 3 weeks ago, students have mastered additional skills, and we will adjust our groups again. We will expand this model to our 5th through 8th grade classrooms as well. At EV, our motto is, all kids are my kids, and our teachers are committed to the growth of all students. The second goal I would like to share with you is our plan to increase family engagement. By May 2023, Estrella Vista STEM Academy will increase parent and community participation at school events by 20% as measured by the participation and sign-in logs as compared to last year. Our teachers work with students every day to increase student agency. This involves setting goals, initiating action towards those goals, and reflecting on and regulating progress towards those goals. Our actions include, Our actions include providing parent education information around student goals and how these goals support student growth and achievement. It is important that our families understand how our student Lexile levels, fast bridge assessments, progress monitoring, and our pre, mid, and post assessments, and how they relate to student learning and grade level expectations. Students and teachers will periodically be expected to share their progress with their families for feedback and celebration. This supports our process of student-led parent conferences, where students take on the responsibility and ownership of their learning. By May, families will understand their child's goals and data and how this data is collected and what strategies they can use at home to support their child's academic success. During the pandemic, we provided virtual PTSA and family engagement nights. This proved to be very successful, and we plan to continue this format as an option to increase parent engagement with our school. For example, our STEM at Home nights and our Kids at Hope destination nights. We have already shown growth in our parent engagement with an increase in families participating in Meet the Teacher, both in person and virtually. Over 50 families attending our Title I Family Night in person and many more online. And our highest percentage to date at our first PTSA meeting just last week. I look forward to continuing to grow and nurture our family engagement. This concludes my IAP presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the members of the board this evening? I just personally think it's really great that you're looking and focusing on the parents. There's probably more education in the parents and the kids than we know. He knows.
Yes. We know with parent support and nurturing that relationships, our student achievement can only increase. So we value our parents and want, just like all of our parents here tonight, we want more parents. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that presentation this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Durazo. Next, we will be hearing from Regan Headings, principal at Collier Business Academy. The average percent meeting proficiency or considered passing in English language arts for 3rd through 8th grades was 31% and ranged from 23 to 39% in grade 8. Grade 3 increased 18 percentage points from FY21 to FY22. The average percent meeting proficiency or considered passing in math for 3rd through 8th grades was 22% and ranged from 13 to 33% in grade 8. Grade 8 increased 23 percentage points from FY21 to FY22. Welcome, Ms. Headings.
Thank you. Good evening, governing board members, members of the executive team, and Dr. Freeman. Thank you for this opportunity to share Collier Business Academy's Integrated Action Plan. My name is Regan Headings, and I am the proud principal of Collier Business Academy for Financial Literacy. Last spring, our staff, students, and families completed surveys to help us determine our greatest needs. Information provided by these surveys and through collaborations, we together created the Integrated Action Plan presented tonight. I told them I wouldn't embarrass them, but in the audience are all the members of our team, many of them, and our parents that supported us through this collaborative process. Our first goal presented has an ELA focus. It reads, by the end of the 22-23 school year, 75% of 1st through 8th grade students will have typical to high growth measured by the pre to post district ELA assessment. Collier's typical to high growth was 69% in the 21-22 school year. In kindergarten, we will reduce the number of high-risk students by 65% from the beginning to the end of the year as measured by the Early Reading Fast Bridge Assessment. In 21-22, Collier moved 33% of kindergarten students out of high risk from the beginning of the year to the end as measured by the Early Reading Fast Bridge Assessment. Last year, our school goals were based on student proficiency towards a target. When analyzing our end of the year data, we identified we fell short of meeting our goals. After reviewing our root cause analysis, the team identified our goals needed to be reestablished. The team felt the proficiency targets may have neglected the highest and lowest performing of students. In addition, expecting all students to achieve proficiency within one academic year may not have been developmentally appropriate in consideration of our last few years. And lastly, proficiency targets may not have accurately reflected teachers' impact on student learning. Growth will be tracked by common formative assessments, grade level screeners, programming such as Dreambox, Smarty Ants, and Achieve 3000, individualized goals, and from our pre, mid, and post-district assessments. The Collier team is confident we can grow all students in the 2022-23 school year. All students' growth will increase as a result of effective Tier 1 instruction. Professional development opportunities will focus on planning effective Tier 1 and small group instruction as well as formative assessment. As strong instructional practices are established, best practices in planning, implementation, and assessment will increase our instructional effectiveness. Differentiation within Tier 1 and small group instruction, refined formative assessment practices, and focus on the PLC process will support us in building a strong problem-solving process, as well as effective 2 and Tier 3 interventions. Each grade level team has created SMART goals. Teams will meet weekly to collaborate and monitor progress towards these goals. Grade level and content teams meet a minimum of once a week to identify essential standards, review data, and determine next steps for targeted intervention and enrichment. Collier teachers are also working with a consultant from Solution Tree to support the PLC process and multi-tiered system of supports. The process improves teacher efficacy, establishes systems that promote individual goals, and focuses on continuous improvement. Our second goal presented tonight has a math focus. By the end of 22-23 school year, 1st through 8th grade students will have typical to high growth of 70% as measured from the pre to post district math assessment. Collier's typical to high growth was 63% in the 21-22 school year. 100% of kindergarten students will complete 5 lessons weekly in the math intervention program Dreambox. In 21-22, kindergarten students averaged 2.3 lessons per week. We will ensure growth by teaching students to track their data and goals. Students will monitor progress towards mastery of essential standards, computer programming goals, and goals measured by essential assessments. Dreambox is one example of data being tracked and students setting goals. Students tracking data and setting goals in Dreambox, celebrating their successes, and teachers refining implementation practices ensure our goals are met. Short-term goals and action steps support realignment of strategies to meet these goals. We will promote teacher collaborations to monitor and review grade-level common formative assessment data. Tracking this data will support purposeful alignment with our instructional practices. Professional development opportunities such as unpacking essential standards, purposeful lesson planning and development, or developing small group instruction will result in targeted math interventions and extensions for all students. Teachers will prepare students to present their learning progress in student-led conferences. Teachers will support students in creating and tracking goals in their data folders. Students will reflect regularly on their progress and be able to articulate this process to parents twice a year. In conclusion, Collier will focus on growing all students and increasing student learning on all levels in the areas of math and ELA. With an emphasis on effective Tier 1 and small group instruction, a multi-tiered system of support, teacher collaboration, teacher and student goal setting, and data analysis. All students will make growth and achieve at high levels. This concludes Collier's IAP presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much for the presentation. Any questions? Either they've done a really good job of explaining it to us, or we're just not thinking really well tonight, right?
I so appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Headings.
All right. Oops. Dr. Hay, you have item number 11 over here.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Tonight, we have Mr. Brian D'Alessio, who is the Director of Federal Programs and Assessment, giving you a snapshot of the data that we received late last week on our standardized test scores. So, Mr. D'Alessio, I'll hand it over to you.
Well, thank you. Good evening, President Nielsen, board members, Dr. Freeman. Tonight, I'll provide you with a quick snapshot of the district and state AASA results. This first slide, you can see a breakdown of the AASA ELA results from 2022. You can see it broken down by grade level. So where it says district proficiency, that's our percent proficient for each grade level, 3 through 8th grade, and then we also have an overall percentage of proficiency. Below that is the district change. That's the change from 2021 to 2022. The next row below that is the state proficiency averages for each grade level and the overall percentage. And then the state change from 21 to 22. So I would like to point out that Littleton did outperform or show more growth than the state did in every grade level and in the overall percentage. You may notice in 5th grade, there was a decline in both the state and district average. In the October meeting, we will get into more details such as a range of schools and analysis of differences. For example, here with the 5th grade ELA, with the state and district both showing a decline may indicate this might be a test design issue. And I'll give you a minute or so. Oh, we're just going to switch. If you want to give me a head nod or something if we're ready to move on, get a thumbs up.
Move on to the next one.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Jim. All right, next we have a breakdown of the AASA math proficiency. The chart has the same data, so that first row would be the district proficiency by grade level, 3rd grade through 8th grade, with the overall proficiency at that last column. Then you would see the district change, then the state proficiency averages by grade level, and then the state change. Again, if you'll notice, we did show greater growth than the state in every grade level and the overall, except for 6th grade, which the state showed a 1% growth where we maintained. So even though we didn't beat the state, very, very close.
Any questions? Or is that the next slide?
Oh, That's pretty much the last slide. So the next slide would be, are there any questions?
So I did have one question, okay? And
Yes.
this is just maybe in my mind. So for the ELA there, if you take 3 through 8, you've got numbers that are probably all within a percentage point, 28, 29, 25, 27, 33. They're all fairly level. Same with the state. When you go to math, the math, 27, 24, 21, 30, it drops off as they go up, but so does the state. Do we not teach as much math, or do we just not do the 8th graders, 7th grade, 8th graders just don't pay attention as much at that level? Is there anything in there that kind of...
Right now, I don't have that answer.
Okay.
We'll definitely find that answer for you. I know, as you know, these results came out late last week, so
Right.
we're still digging into them and analyzing them. So we'll have a response for you.
I don't know, that was just something that caught my attention. Amy?
So I can tell you from my other job that the focus in standards is banded like 3, 5, 6, 8, and there's a huge change in what the focus of the standards is when you get to 6, 8. And so that might be something I am guessing from my previous experience that kids may not be as strong in the back standards and things like that.
Okay, thank you. Just one of those curiosities. Appreciate that, and I'm sure we'll get some more information on that as it comes available.
Of course.
Thank
Other
you,
questions?
Mr. DeLacio.
Thank you, appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Mr. French, item number 12, capital expenditure report.
Thank you, Mr. President, governing board members, Dr. Freeman. You'll notice I have 12 and 13 on the agenda, and these items kind of go together, Mr. President. Item 12 is the item that you have seen in prior years. We have changed the title of the item, and so we didn't want you to think it was going away. We've adjusted the title of the item, so that's going to be the information in item 13 to provide a more comprehensive analysis of expenditures, which include the M&O override as well. So at that point, I mean, unless you have any questions on this, I can move into item 13 and we can review the report. Okay. President Nielsen, governing board members, Dr. Freeman, like I had said, we'll be reviewing the bond and override expenditure report. We'll review our current bond authorizations as passed by the voters in November of 2017 and 2021, as well as the M&O and capital overrides. I did mention also that this is an annual report required by state statute. We are required to update the board on the district's bond programs and all overrides. This update must include the progress of the bond and override funds and must occur with it between September 1st and October 31st, which this date falls in between those ranges. So the first slide we're looking at is the 2017 bond authorization series. Littleton passed a bond in 2017, which authorized the district to sell $22.7 million in bonds. This authorization is valid for 10 years, and as of June 2021, the district has sold the entire authorization. The large allocation sold in June of 21 was in preparation for the new school construction at Littleton Prep. Next slide, Jim. As you can see, just about 10.5 million has been spent from this authorization, leaving roughly 12.1 million remaining. The remaining funds were set aside for the construction, as they have already been accounted for in the cost of the new school and negotiated in the guaranteed maximum price between the district and the general contractor. Littleton passed an additional bond election in November of 21 and sold those bonds in June of 22. As we told the board prior to selling the bonds in June of 22, the majority of the funds will be used to finish the Littleton Prep Academy, while approximately $3.5 million will be set aside to be used for other facility updates and supplying and upgrading student technology. These funds have not been utilized as of yet, as we are prioritizing drawing down the 2017 bond funds first. Littleton's most recent capital override is a November 2018 ballot measure, which was fiscal year 2019 and became effective in fiscal year 20. The voters authorized an annual dollar amount of $2.35 million for 7 years. This slide shows the total budget by department as well as expenditures through fiscal year 22 and the remaining budget for the remaining 4 years of the override. This slide provides a sneak peek into some of the capital projects the district has planned this fiscal year. The district will be purchasing student furniture for the Littleton Prep Academy while also maintaining the replacement schedule for the other sites. There are plans to upgrade some fencing at multiple locations and increase the number of cameras used at campuses for student and staff safety. The district is scheduled to purchase at least 1 bus during fiscal year 23. The technology department is scheduled for audio-visual and projector upgrades at Country Place, Estrella Vista, and Littleton Prep, as well as a partial teacher laptop refresh. And the teaching and learning department is planning on purchasing additional handwriting materials for our K-3 students and art instructional materials for all students. This slide shows the 5 areas the district identified in the M&O override election in November of 2019. The overall override amount for FY22 was $4.822 million and was spent according to the categories on the slide. The full-day kindergarten amount is what the district spent over and above what is funded by the state, since the state only funds a half-day program. The lower class side category includes short and long-term substitute teachers. The teacher and staff salary levels are the amount the district spends from the override to remain competitive in the market for staff salaries. Special programs include programs like art, PE, music, and signature program teachers. Lastly, the after-school programs include extracurriculars and sports. At this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board has.
Any questions? Has he done a very good job of explaining that to us tonight? Just on the one side previously, the M&O, what period is that?
That's fiscal year 22, so that's last fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you. Rest of it looks good. I guess the only comment I have is buses. I don't know what the price of buses are, but they're not getting any cheaper. Is there any possibility of looking at it, getting one sooner than later, just only because you can fix the cost on that? I don't know what other things are in there. I'm sure there's other capital items in there that if you got them now rather than 6 months from now, or who knows what happened with inflation. But
great question, President Nielsen. We are working with a vendor currently to see if we're going to have any inflationary costs if we were to wait on bus purchases. One thing that we are looking at is there is an EPA grant that potentially would provide money to the school district if we chose to go with electric buses. And so we are exploring that. We haven't been awarded that grant yet, and we would have to look to see what the rebate to the district would be and what the overall cost would be if we were to go that route. So we're weighing now the difference between electric buses and diesel buses as well.
very good. Okay. That was the other question, but you must have seen me and wanted to ask that one. All right, thank you very much. That takes care of 12 and 13. Item number 14, first readings of recommended policy changes. Are you, Mr. French, there on A1 and 2?
I think I'm first, yes.
And 3, you're first.
President Nielsen, Governing Board, Dr. Freeman, first I'd like to review policy DIA, accounting responsibilities. The recommended policy change to DIA is a result of House Bill 2179, which amends Arizona Revised Statute 15-914-01, which applies to school districts seeking to become an accounting responsible district. Prior to the proposed amendment, districts only needed to seek approval from the State Board of Education and now also require approval from their county school superintendent's office. Although Littleton is not seeking to become an accounting responsible district, we are recommending the policy change to conform with the law. This is first read, so it doesn't require any motion, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Nope.
Secondly, Mr. President, I'd like to review policy EE, transportation services. There were two bills in the last session, Senate Bill 1246 and Senate Bill 1630, that affected this policy. Senate Bill 1246 specifically called out the ability for school districts and select pre-approved contract carriers to use electric school buses or other electric vehicle services. Senate Bill 1630 expanded the type of vehicle permissible to transport school children to include a motor vehicle that is designed to carry at least 11 and not more than 15 passengers. The district recommends adopting ASBA's proposed changes to policy EE. Any questions?
Just on that smaller quantity of students, that's for smaller buses, is that electric ones as well, or just?
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No questions on that one?
Okay.
All right.
Third, I'd like to review policy EEAEA, bus driver requirements, training, and responsibilities. This recommended change to this policy would require bus drivers to possess a bus endorsement that is issued by the Department of Transportation and a school bus certificate that is issued by the Department of Public Safety in order to operate a school bus. The district recommends adopting the proposed changes to policy EEAEA. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions. That takes care of your part. Dr. Haid, or you'd like to take care of the next part there?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the governing board. The first of the policy reviews I have this evening is for policy JLCC, communicable infectious diseases. This is also being recommended by the School Boards Association per House Bill 2616. It's an addition to the policy that prohibits the district to require students to wear a mask without parental consent. So that is the change. Everything else remains the same. The second policy I have this evening is IHA, Basic Instructional Programs, again recommended by the School Board Association from House Bill 2325. This establishes 9/11 Education Day, and as you heard from the superintendent's report, we have traditionally done many activities surrounded, but this change actually requires that schools dedicate a portion of the day either on or the day of observance to teaching about the actual event. The next policy is JLDA, School Counselors and Psychologists. It's from House Bill 2178. This actually is an addition and clarifies that school psychologists must hold a certificate from the Department of Education, which has always been our practice, so this is not a change from what we normally do, but an addition based on that change in legislative. The next policy I have is IMB, Teaching About Controversial or Sensitive Issues, from House Bill 2161. It's actually a minor language change. If you'll see, as you see, there's just two crossouts. It changes the professional responsibility paragraph, the word influence to responsibility, and the word values to education. And I would be, oh, I have another one.
Any questions?
Coming
Anything
along.
else?
Sorry, there's people before me. Yes. Any questions? Sorry.
Nope, we're good with that.
Thanks.
Ms. Vanderwater, have you got some on student policies now?
President Nielsen, the first policy that I have is IMD, School Ceremonies and Observances, stating that school districts and charter schools must set aside 1 to 2 minutes at the beginning of each day for silence. Teachers may not tell children what to meditate on, and teachers must encourage parents to discuss with their children how to use this moment of silence. This would change previous policy from the meditation not to exceed 1 minute to at least 1 minute, but not more than 2 minutes at the beginning of each school day. The second policy and exhibit that I have is JICFA around hazing. House Bill 2322 has recently criminalized hazing. Hazing is a Class 1 misdemeanor or a Class 4 felony, depending upon the situation. ASBA's model for the hazing policy, JICFA, and accompanying exhibit are based on the previous law, which was largely unchanged. The major change to the policy and the state statute is that the definition of hazing now links directly to the criminal statute. and this hazing policy is referenced in our parent-student handbook currently. The last policy and regulation that I have is JJIB around interscholastic sports. Senate Bill 1165, the Save Women's Sports Act, requires that each school district or charter school designate their interscholastic or intramural sports-based program on the biological sex of students who participate on the team or in the sport. And the permissible categories are males, men or boys, females, women or girls, or co-ed or mixed. JJIB and the regulation is amended to conform with this state statute. And those are my items.
I just had one question on the first one there on schools and ceremonies. That minute of silence or reflection there at the beginning of this, it says that the parents will take the opportunity to talk to the students about how to use that time. Will we, as staff and whatever, give the parents some knowledge of what that time is going to be used for? How are the parents going to know as to what they can put into that? I mean, am I even asking the question correct? How are the parents going to know what to explain or talk to their kids about rather than getting upset that they've got a minute of silence at the beginning of school? Or is that a Pandora's box?
I'm not sure that it's Pandora's box. It's somebody's box, and they want us to stay out of it. Okay. So the kind of ironic thing going around at the end of the session was, they trust teachers to carry guns, but not to advise anybody in a moment of silence. So, the concern is individual teachers would take their individual beliefs and use that time to proselytize those with a captive audience. So we're essentially, supposed to remain moot on the topic. I don't know that there would be a prohibition, for the district to do parent education. I think the idea was to prohibit any one teacher from the community having the impression they're trying to sway a group of kids towards their way of thinking. But it might be something that we could put out our own belief or philosophical statement about, so it's instructive to parents without being influential or coercive or anything like that. If the board thinks that might be helpful to people, I'm pretty sure they don't want individual teachers guiding, directing, or influencing kids just because of some of the stories that have been told around the country
Right.
of things that have offended different people at different times.
And I don't think that the point is, if we're going to have teachers, parents and students talking together, and some of these goals that we've got is to get the parents more involved, that would be just another opportunity for parents to talk to their kids and say, okay, this is what our belief is, this is what we do. If you want to, you go and you just, I don't know if the district wants a statement that this is what we've got, or just put whatever that from the policy here is just, this is what we believe and hold true. Any thoughts? All right. Ms. Garrison.
Thank you,
Instruction and
Mr.
student
President.
proposal. Please.
Governing Board, recommended changes to policy JF student admissions are a result of SB 1361. This bill modified the eligibility application and reporting requirements for a certificate of educational convenience. A certificate of educational convenience is a pupil's ability to attend a district outside of their home district if they are precluded from attending the home district because of distance, lack of adequate transportation facilities, or a parent's or guardian's employment. This bill requires school districts that receive an application to submit the complete survey to the county school superintendent. This is the first reading for this recommended policy and does not require a motion. It just adds the language for a certificate of educational. Next up, I have policy JRR, recommended revisions to JRR student surveys. House Bill 2161 amended ARS 15177, which governs administration of surveys related to 14 specific topics. You will note some additions noted in the second paragraph. This added language clarifies that schools shall not conduct surveys that solicit personal information in specific categories without having permission first from the superintendent. You may notice that the majority of the language of this policy was struck. This is because the language was moved to the regulation, which is also attached, and spells out the categories that require the parental consent prior to administering a district survey. If you were going to administer a district survey on one of those topics, districts are now about to be required to provide a copy of the survey at least 7 days prior to administering the survey and get consent from a parent or guardian if the student is younger than 18. So this is the first reading of this recommended policy, and I've included the regulation there as well, and it does not require a motion for approval.
Thank you. Dr. Hayden, you have one there on student health and safety?
Mr. President, members of the governing board, this goes along with the student policy that I shared earlier. This is from House Bill 2498. It prohibits the district from requiring a COVID vaccination or the wearing of a mask in relation specifically to COVID. That is the change in that policy.
Okay. Thank you. And Ms. Garrison, have you got the next three?
Back to me. Yes, Mr. President, Governing Board. The recommended changes in policy KI, visitors to school, added language to our school visit procedures. The first changed underline says the tour or the visit will not be permitted if it threatens the health and safety of pupils and staff. New verbiage then goes on to state the districts need to post this policy about visiting schools on the website for parents and prospective parents, and notes the district does not require face mask or face coverings anywhere on the district's premises except where there were longstanding workplace safety. It not related to COVID, just like Dr. Hay just talked about. The regulation that goes along with this, it just adds language to support the school procedures used when visitors, including parents and prospective parents, wish to tour or observe in a school. It does give the district the right to discontinue visits if it is deemed to threaten the health and safety of the students and staff. It also notes our inability to require masks. This regulation added the same language, and the new exhibit is the form the parents must use to visit or tour or observe in the classroom. So you may recall in a previous policy advisory, we added a regulation. This was sometime in the last 2 years that stated visitors to schools had to wear face coverings, and due to the current changes in rulings, KIRB will now be removed, and we can use this KIR, and it will be the only regulation for policy KI.
Okay, thank you. I noticed in all of those right there, it refers to COVID-19. Heaven forbid that whatever comes up in 20 years from now or 10 years from now, I guess we'll have to go through and redo the policy again, right? For whatever new one.
I also attached the exhibit there for you because we were given a form to use.
Okay. All right. Any other policies we need to review? Yes. All right, if not.
Next time, there's more next month.
Okay. This is enough for tonight. Dr. Hayden, your next one has to do with pay grade adjustments, and we will take an action on that as a board this evening.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Item 15 is grouped. You may make a overall motion, which is in the top part, or we can look at them separately by each position. So I'm going to look at it overall, and then if we have questions or need to break that down, we'll so the administration is recommending pay grade adjustments for 3 hard-to-fill positions. Recommendations to these adjustments are based on the supply of available candidates. Upon review of the positions we're examining this evening, we looked at other districts that compete in our geographic location. We considered the increase to minimum wage that will occur in January, and then also our ability to fill open positions. We're making recommendations to adjust the pay grades per the chart in the item, as you see Mr. Verrill has placed up there. for the following positions: bus drivers, paraprofessionals at all levels, and custodians. We have lead custodians and custodians. So these increases will move us from the bottom of the geographic area in our starting wage to near the top. It still doesn't make us number one, but it makes us very competitive. It also takes into account the cost that it would we would have to make adjustments in the bottom end. So we've worked with business and looked at that. It also considers the fact that based on these three positions, and we've offered many, we are averaging about a 43% acceptance rate based on our wage. So we feel that this is an important piece to keep us current in the market. So are there any specific questions about this right now?
Any comments or questions on that?
I would also like to add that this is the first of compensation change recommendations that you'll be seeing. Next month, we're going to bring the class size overage for teachers for you to examine. We're giving LEAP an opportunity to look at that. So if you are in support of that or want me to break that down, there is a motion in 15. We are asking that the board approve the recommended pay adjustments for bus driver, recommended proposed pay grade changes for bus drivers, custodians, and paraprofessionals.
I move that the governing board approve the proposed pay grade changes for bus drivers, custodians, and paraprofessionals.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That motion passes. Next one, stipends and agendas.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. We have one small addition to the stipend and addenda schedule. Mr. Verrill, if you'll open that attachment and scroll to the very bottom, please. Over the summer, you may remember that we had a split summer school, one that was our own and one that we were awarded through the governor's program, which paid significantly more than our hourly rate. So because that was through that program and initiative through their ESSER funds, we would like to add the hourly rate of $52 an hour for ESSER tutoring, which is the bold piece on the very bottom line of the schedule, so that we may incorporate our tutoring funds and be competitive with what was paid over the summer. We specifically pointed this out as ESSER tutoring rate because we can afford that under the funds that are available for that. And then when those are not available, that piece specifically will go away. So we're asking you to approve the addition to the stipend in the schedule.
I'll go ahead and move that the governing board approve the stipend and addendum schedule as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, one more on a job description.
One more, Mr. President, members of the board. We have been fortunate under Mr. D'Alessio's work over the last year to receive a number of grants. We have received 2 grants that allow us to add some positions for teacher support. One is in literacy and one is a mentor teacher for new teachers coming to the profession. If you open them, the first one is a literacy coach. It looks very different from our current job description, and the reason is because it is a condition of the grant that we specifically use ADE's job description. So we work to overlay our watermark in the background to know it's a Littleton piece, but we do not write our job descriptions generally this way. So if the grant would continue, we would keep this job description, or if in the future we did not have these funds anymore and we decided to continue the position, we would modify this in the future. So just to let you know what that looks like. The second job description is actually in our format. We have had a position similar in a grant many, many years ago. This is through the K-12 Center, and it is in conjunction with the initiative we have with NAU and the Tolleson Elementary School District. to bring basically pipeline to teachers for people who are in their second year of school or have some credits to go ahead. NAU will adopt or take the students on. They receive instruction here between Tolleson and Littleton, and then there's a cost of living stipend associated through a benefactor, which that agreement was on consent this evening, so this is in conjunction with that program. Administration's asking for you to approve the new job descriptions so that we may post an attempt to hire position that we really, really need with a lot of people who would love to do this but are currently in classrooms. So we're gonna do our best to balance those needs.
I move that the governing board approve the job descriptions to grant-funded teacher coaches.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Dr. Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I had hoped to be able to give more of an update tonight on our various efforts to create a partner for the Lakeland Prep Academy. So, you know, what I can tell you is between the Brookfield Development Group, the Rodell Foundation, who helped with the site visit with the Texas people, and the school district, the board's attorney, Jennifer McClellan, they have explored the legal implications of an RFP, an IGA, and public-private venture. As those attorneys talked, they have created a list of pros and cons and concerns. Their next step is to try, and they've gone back and forth to report back to the people paying them. The next step is to get all three of those attorneys in the same room to come up with a recommendation. We don't want to bring anything to the board that your attorney has reservations about. We are still in the process of working with that group to come up with that recommendation. I am feeling a big time crunch pressure for whichever way we go to be able to plan and implement. I think we do have a broad idea about what the school choice option would be, where we can start to prepare some generic materials for school choice week in February and have all of that done before winter break. But we certainly, I think, need some details, and if we need to process any kind of curriculum materials or anything like that, we need to have them out and available for the public. So there's a number of things logistically that need to happen, but I don't really have any progress to report other than that. They all have other things on their calendars, so it's a little tough now to get all of them together at once. We do kind of have a point of pride. Our former attorney that the board worked with, Don Peters, had won the John McDonald Legal something award, best lawyer of the year award, distinguished lawyer. And this year at the School Boards Association Law Conference, Jennifer McClellan was recognized as the John McDonald Outstanding School Law Attorney for 2022. So that was a nice confirmation of the work she does, and especially the advice she gives us and provides to the school district. But that's all I have to report on that tonight, and you know, I'm hopeful to have more information going forward. We had hoped to be able to have some kind of recommendation for action sooner, so that may be something we can have on the agenda for the 18th, probably not the 25th, because the 25th will be the monitoring data from goals from last year. So we look forward to having more progress to report on that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Freeman. With that, the last item on there is a motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn at 7:39.
I'll second that.
Thank you so much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and thank you all for being here with us tonight.